How's it going, everyone? Got a bit of an update on potential big PlayStation titles that'll be out by the end of 2024. If you guys have been following this channel, you know I've been talking about how early 2024 looks so stacked, and I did get a little bit of pushback in the comment section. Just saw a few people pointing out, hey, the front of the year is super stacked, the beginning of the year, so to speak, is super stacked, but what about the rest of the year? It's looking a little bit quiet, and I can definitely understand that point of view, especially because, and I have been saying this quite a lot, PlayStation first party looks incredibly weak this year, coming off of a very weak 2023. People are gonna hate to hear that, but guess what? That is the reality. Based on the titles that we have announced, it's a lot of third-party support and third-party exclusives, but we'll talk all about it as some major third-party titles as well may be coming this year. A lot of you guys, as far as early 2024 titles, are excited for Granblue Fantasy Relink. I know I am, and if you want a little bit of a taste of Granblue, the Cygames English YouTube channel has uploaded some of the anime for free. We'll give you guys a heads up on that, and a bit of an update on the PlayStation 5 Pro, supposedly dropping in late 2024. I know CES is right around the corner. Maybe let's pump the brakes on an announcement there. Now, before we get into this video, I just want to ask you guys, please like this video and do leave a comment with your thoughts. It really does help out the channel a lot, and it is much appreciated. But first of all, PlayStation did put out a sizzle reel of upcoming games in 2024. PS5 games is the title. Now, this you do have to take with a grain of salt as far as all of the titles that are going to be dropping this year. Who knows if these games are going to hit this year, but it's a general idea in terms of what we could potentially expect as far as games coming out this year, and 2024 is starting to take shape. So the games that are pictured, some of them obviously we know are coming this year. Last of Us Part 2 Remastered out in just a few weeks, actually out in under 2 weeks. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, February 29th on that, obviously out this year. Helldivers 2, obviously out this year, that'll be out in February, but some of the other titles that were noted, we don't have official confirmations for 2024, but this sizzle reel would make you think they are scheduled for 24. First of all, we have Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is a game that I'm a little bit skeptical on whether or not it's going to come out this year. Now, it is the first major title coming from Korean developer Shift Up. I really hope this doesn't go the way of like a lot of other hotly anticipated titles that were exclusives, that are exclusives, excuse me, and like I just always get, I always think of Lost Soul Aside as that's a game that I was looking forward to for like 8 years, and I just have given up all hope on that game ever coming out. Obviously, that game was not a part of the sizzle reel, but Stellar Blade seems like it's making much more progress and hopefully will be out this year. I wasn't a big fan of how they handled the delay. They really didn't handle it at all in terms of announcing it. It just got quietly delayed, and it was never, you know, there was never a statement put out or anything. It was just like, all right, this is now a 2024 game, even though we scheduled it for 2023 is what it is there. So that hopefully will be coming out in 2024, maybe in the latter part of the year. Also pictured was Concord. This is a game that I meme on all the time, Concord and Fair Game, because I just hated that PlayStation showcase back in June of last year, and why we got trailers for Fair Game and Concord showcasing nothing for these brand new IPs. It was just very lame, and it wasn't even like I have anything against about the idea of multiplayer titles on PlayStation. Like, yo, if you're gonna do live service games, alright, fine, but show me what you're cooking, and Fair Game and Concord, both new IPs, both from new studios, showed us absolutely nothing. Concord especially was like the super insulting trailer. At least Fair Game, you kinda got the idea it was gonna be like a heist-centric game or something like that. Concord's trailer was just such an abomination that I was almost a little bit shocked by it in terms of how they wanted to handle a debut of a game like that. Like, nobody thought, like, hey, maybe this wouldn't be the best idea to showcase a new IP, but you know, I guess they know better than me, but I thought Concord and Fair Game were just handled so poorly, and Fair Game was not pictured, so that might end up being a 2025 title. I don't have a lot of hopes for Concord, but I have said PlayStation needs compelling multiplayer experiences. If Concord becomes that, more power to it. And by the way, it will be a PlayStation 5 PC title. It will be a simultaneous release. That's what they gotta do with the live service games. Remember, the difference with the live service game and your traditional first-party exclusives that are single-player oriented, the single-player oriented titles are there, obviously, to sell software and become a return on investment, sure, but also to get your foot in the door on the console itself. The console is a service in its own in terms of selling you more games, in terms of having you subscribe to PlayStation Plus. In the case of the live service games in general, a Concord and a Fair game, those games are tied to being the service. They are going to monetize those games, at least that is the idea, for a lengthy period of time. Whether or not that'll be successful, we'll see, but you need to get as many people playing those games as possible. Still remains to be seen whether or not Concord and Fair game will be free-to-play titles or pay-to-play titles, but we'll talk about that as more information is revealed. The most exciting two titles that were pictured in this trailer, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. I've been saying in recent videos that I foresaw this game being more likely to be a 2025 game, and I'm not saying this is confirmed for 2024 now, but the fact that they did put it in the sizzle reel, and the fact that, you know, we're talking about the idea of it being a 2024 game, that does have me very excited. Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of the greatest video games ever released, and when they revealed the Snake Eater remake and when we heard rumblings about it, I was already immediately excited. Even if all it is just a ground-up, a true to the original remake of Snake Eater, that's not that bad. And I get it, they have to change up some things with some licensing stuff and things of that nature, but for the most part, it should be true to the original. You know, Metal Gear Solid 3 was fantastic, and chronologically, it does make sense for Snake Eater to be the first one that they remake, and rumblings have it that Metal Gear Solid 1 will be getting a remake as well. That makes all the sense. I know a lot of people want the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 to get remade, but MGS, I think, is the one that's going to sell more, so we'll see how that turns out. And then also Silent Hill 2 was pictured. I was fairly confident Silent Hill 2 was going to be a 2024 game, but seeing that pictured as well, that's exciting. Metal Gear Solid Delta, even if it's in the sizzle reel, I'm still kind of thinking it'll be an early 2025 game, but at the very least, the fact it's in here makes me think they're aiming for a fall 2024 release window, and at worst, right now, maybe it'll get pushed to early 25, but hopefully not any further beyond that. Like, hopefully it's not a 2026 game or anything like that, so MGS3, a remake of that, will be incredibly exciting. Fingers crossed that all of that lands. Moving on from that, Granblue Fantasy Relink, we're all excited about that. February 1st for the physical release. Remember, if you buy it digitally, it'll be dropping January 29th. Well, Granblue Fantasy's anime is available to watch for free right now on the official Cygames YouTube channel. Granblue Fantasy, the animation, Episode 1, Girl in Blue is the subtitle for the episode. This is an anime that dropped a while ago. It wasn't received incredibly well. The My Anime List rating is a 6.6, so obviously that's not all too hot, but if you want a little bit of an introduction to Granblue, this can be a way to do that. We have seen anime adaptations of video games several times. Valkyria Chronicles actually got an anime adaptation, and The World Ends With You got an anime adaptation as well, and I know a lot of people checked that out before they played Neo The World Ends With You, because either they didn't have a Switch, they didn't want to pay $50 for The World Ends With You remaster on Switch, nor did they want to pick up the DS version, the phone version, whatever the deal was. So, you know, generally speaking, the video game adaptations are a little bit not so great, but this is Granblue Fantasy, the animation, and a lot of the characters obviously represented here are going to be in the video game as well, so you can check that out. How many episodes do they got up? I believe as I'm recording this video, they have 7 episodes up. All of these episodes were uploaded yesterday, so they might be rolling out more episodes and covering the entirety of the season, so we'll see about that. Granblue Fantasy Relink, again, coming January 29th. It seems whenever we talk about that game on this channel, the video does well, and there's a lot of discussion in the comment section. So as far as our subscriber base goes, seems like there's a lot of interest in that game, and I think that extends to there just being inherently a lot of interest in this game. An anime stylized, a multiplayer monster hunting style game, or at least having elements of that, and also having a, you know, a main story component. The idea of the game is incredibly compelling, and I think if it delivers from a quality standpoint, and, you know, the rhetoric online is positive, I think it's going to do fairly well commercially, and hopefully it is a game that we already kind of know it's going to be updated for a while. It's going to see DLC expansion, things of that nature, so you know, but hopefully it does set the tempo for what Granblue Fantasy can be going forward over here in the West. And lastly, we talked about Sony's CES show that is coming up. Generally speaking, CES is revolved around more hardware-related things, not game reveals or anything like that. Don't be expecting Last of Us Part 3, Ghost of Tsushima 2, but I have thrown out the idea, potentially a PS5 Pro reveal is the best thing you can see, given that the rumbling is late 2024 on that, but even then, that would be a little early for a reveal on the PS5 Pro. Tom Henderson noted on Twitter, it seems like everyone is hyped that the PlayStation 5 Pro might be announced at CES. Personally, I'd be surprised if they were to announce a new console 9 to 10 months from release, if that's the timeline they're going with, so I'm more inclined to believe a late Q3 announcement. That's kind of where I'm at. Remember, the PlayStation 5 was revealed in June for a fall 2020 release. I believe it was June, but the turnaround time on consoles, far less than new games. They're gonna reveal games like 5 years in advance, 7 years in advance. They got no problem doing that. When it comes to consoles and things of that nature, it's generally like 6 to 8 months at most, and usually on the side of 6 months. Hardware just has a much quicker turnaround time, generally speaking, so we'll see as far as the PS5 Pro. I think most people, unless you are really a hardcore PlayStation fan and you need the best experience, if you already have a PS5, you're probably going to stick with that. I didn't see a lot of people making the jump to the PS4 Pro last generation, although I was a sucker and did. I needed to get the best experience out of Final Fantasy 15 because I was so hyped for that game, but nevertheless, I don't see most people going and making the jump to the PS5 Pro, but I guess that'll also be an element of what is exactly in the box. Like, if they drop the PS5 Pro, it's a significant performance update, and let's say they threw in a 2 terabyte or a 1.5 terabyte NVMe in there, okay, that might get people to be like, oh, I can sell my PS5, I can get that console. If it's $550, $600, I would imagine. If it's like a 2 terabyte NVMe, I don't imagine they would get that at $500, but we'll see. We've seen crazier. Expect that this holiday, but as far as CES goes, that might be pushing it a little bit too much. But that's gonna do it for me. Again, the PS5 2024 hype trailer, the sizzle reel, has MGS Delta, has Silent Hill 2. Still want some bigger titles from Sony first party since 2023 was so bad outside of Spider-Man 2. Like, it was legitimately one of the worst PlayStation first party years in history. That is not hyperbole. When you get legit one big first party release, it's one of the worst years ever. I'm sorry, that's just the case. Usually, you know, you look at a 2022, you got Horizon, Gran Turismo, and God of War. You know, maybe you can't hit that level every year, but at least 2 big titles would be great. And this year, it might be another where 0 big first-party single-player titles. Like, think about that for a second. That would be very, very disappointing, but that might be where we're at, given that there's going to be a lot of emphasis put towards live service. Naughty Dog has yet to reveal anything from a single-player standpoint, and generally speaking, they reveal stuff a year out from release, so, you know, it's a kind of a disappointing time for PlayStation first party, and here's a hot take. I think by the end of 2024, we might be looking at PlayStation first party and Xbox first party. Maybe this is the year that Xbox first party actually puts out better stuff than PlayStation. We'll see about that. Like, obviously, we got stuff like FF7 Rebirth, we got Rise of the Ronin, those titles look really good, but those are third-party titles, as is Stellar Blade. But if you want to count those titles as, you know, PlayStation exclusives and games to be excited for, then by all means, do so. I'm just talking about from a general first-party standpoint, because PlayStation first-party has been such a core part of their business, and the promotion of PlayStation, Sony Bend, Sucker Punch, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla, all of those studios, Santa Monica, so on and so forth. Sony Japan for a while, you know? Give me my Gravity Rush 3. If they announce Gravity Rush 3, yo, I will literally shut the hell up and I won't mention Sony first party being weak at all. I'll just stop, but yeah, that is just my hope. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.